Hello, Aubrey. We are going to test your knowledge, Aubrey, of the IELTS
Nice.
exam today. We've collected four very common, very useful IELTS questions from students, one for each part of the exam. And Aubrey's going to share her amazing IELTS knowledge. How does that
Perfect. You
sound?
can play the role of the student. We get these questions a lot, and all of them have a pretty brief answer. So we're going to share four today, one for each test.
Nice, nice, awesome. All right, Aubrey. I feel like I'm hosting a game show.
That's kind
Here
of fun.
is question one. All right. So it is, hello, you are great. Oh, thank you. That's awesome to hear.
Yes.
Um, I always listen to your podcasts. I am Juan from Peru. My question is, do you recommend reading ebooks instead of physical books?
Yeah. So I chose this for our listening question today because you don't want to just be listening to podcasts, listening to news reports. A great way to prep for listening audio and build your listening fluency is to listen to audiobooks, right? So, yes, ebooks, physical books, all of the above. Like, however you enjoy reading a book, read that. But we also highly recommend audiobooks, actually.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be one or the other, should be all of these. You need to be able to like read, for the reading exam. You need to be hearing an audiobook for the listening exam. So
Definitely.
we would say not either or, but yes and both and.
Yeah, totally. I know that I mentioned this maybe a month ago on the show, but depending on where you're listening to this podcast right now, there could be free audiobooks just a tab away. So I use Spotify to listen to all my podcasts, and there are free audiobooks on there. Like so many audiobooks. If you have like the premium Spotify or whatever. Aubrey, where do you get your audiobooks?
I use the library app. Mine's called Libby.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if you
yeah.
have a local library, there are free audiobooks there too. And there's an app you need to download and then you just check them out. So I listen to audiobooks that way, but Audible's another good option.
Mhm.
And they also will give you a lot of free options.
Yeah.
So the point is just be listening to an audiobook. You're going to listen to it longer because you'll likely get into the story. There's
Mhm.
going to be interesting vocabulary and you're just building listening fluency.
Yes, 100%. Awesome. All right, Aubrey. So you got that first question correct. Good job.
Thank you.
Let's let's go to the next one about reading. So the student said, "Is it okay to write yes or no instead of true or false by mistake, of course, from Mohammed?"
Great question. And unfortunately, it is not okay.
Meow,
This is
meow.
one thing where IELTS is kind of really mean. If you write yes or no when the question is asking for true or false, it will be marked incorrect. Unfortunately, these are not interchangeable. You really have to pay attention to the instructions and the questions and then double check after to make sure that you wrote the correct word.
Yes, totally, and you're totally right. IELTS is mean sometimes, like, that's mean, like, of
Kind of
course,
unreasonable.
I know,
Why have both?
I see true, I know you mean yes, right? Like, it should
Right.
be the same, but unfortunately, IELTS, there's no leeway on IELTS.
Yeah, and this happens, with some things on the listening exam too, where they're just pickier than you would expect, right? Punctuation, spelling, capitalization. You might think, oh, I'm sure they won't mark it correct for such a small mistake. No, they will, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
you do have to pay attention to those details, double check your answers so you don't make a small error that ends up getting the question wrong.
exactly. And you also got number 2 correct. Aubrey, you are acing today's
Two for two. I'm on a
exam.
roll.
2 for 2. Okay, let's see if we could keep this roll going. All right, here's the next question about speaking. Can we use as a filler in the speaking section? And this question came from Rayana. Thank you, Rayana.
Yeah,
Aubrey,
great
what do you
question.
think?
So you certainly can say or like
Mhm,
These are acceptable. Natives use these as fillers,
mhm,
absolutely. However, you cannot use them over and over. You can't repeat them. If you were to say you know several times during a speaking exam, that is where your score will start coming down because we need to see variety of vocabulary, a variety of fillers. We can't see repetition of vocab or fillers. This will pull down your fluency score.
exactly, exactly, yeah, when we repeat filler words too often, that's called a crutch, and that means, like, you're relying on this word or phrase or sound even, you're relying on this to keep talking, and that pulls down your fluency score, right?
Yeah, and this often happens that students don't even realize they're doing it,
Mhm,
right? I've had students that will say maybe like 100 times in a mock speaking exam, and then when I point it out, they're shocked. They don't even notice they're doing it. They don't realize it. So it's not that you're intentionally using it to fill the space. It's a habit that you might not even notice you're doing. So
mhm,
you're going to need to be pretty proactive and
yeah.
intentional about you're recording yourself, listening for fillers, listening for repeated words,
Mhm,
get a mock speaking test so that someone can point out to you these fillers or things that you're doing to repeat
yeah.
because you might not notice. And then you go on test day and get a low score and have no idea why.
Yeah, no, totally. Great advice. 3 for 3.
Hey.
We're doing great, rolling along. All right, today's last question, guys, is about the writing exam. Here it is. Can we use idioms in writing task 2? And this was sent in by Shayza. Thank you, Shayza. So, Aubrey, what do you think?
This is a really good question,
Mm,
and a lot of students struggle with this. The tricky thing about idioms is that they have a range of formality. Some of them
yeah.
are extremely informal, and those you absolutely will want to reserve for the speaking exam, probably part one, maybe part two of the speaking exam,
Yeah.
because they're so formal. But a lot of idioms are much more formal and are used in more formal conversations and
Mhm,
even would be appropriate on task two essays. So whenever we teach an idiom, we try to share like, would this be, how formal is this? Should
mhm,
it be reserved for speaking? Could it possibly be used on essays? And also keep in mind that writing task two depends on the topic, right? What exactly are you
mhm.
writing about? But most idioms will be too informal for task two.
Exactly, exactly. But like Aubrey said, we always tell you when we teach idioms if they are appropriate for task 2 or not. So definitely, guys, just scroll up in this feed for IELTS Energy. Listen to any of our vocabulary episodes because we will always teach you whether it's formal or informal so you know where to use it on the exam. We've done so many fantastic vocabulary episodes. Guys, if you have missed anything, that means you're not following us, which tisk, 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 you
Tisk,
should
tisk,
not do that.
tisk.
So hit follow right now or subscribe if you're on YouTube. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening today, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.